Welcome back to Ozarks Fox AM. March is Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, and joining us now via Zoom is Jocelyn Cohen, the Vice President of Communications and Engagement for CPARF, which is Cerebral Palsy Alliance Research Foundation. Jocelyn, thank you for coming on this morning, and you have CP yourself, is that correct?
Yes, I have spastic diplegia CP, and it's what makes this job so rewarding. Every day I'm able to use my voice to advocate for myself and for others with cerebral palsy. There are 1 million of us in the U.S. and 18 million of us worldwide. So I'm really happy to be here and happy to have this job.
Incredible.
Well, we're so glad you're joining us. And March is Awareness Month. Now, what would you say to somebody, you know, I was reading some of your information, and it's like there are so many people affected, and yet you really don't hear about it very often. And I know you need funds to help people with CP. So what do you want people to know during March for this Awareness Month?
Yeah, Jeremy, what I want people to know is that CP is a wide-ranging condition. So if you know one person with CP story, you know that one story. I have a friend who's run the New York City Marathon with hemiplegic CP, which affects half his body. I know someone else who can't speak, can't use his hands, can't walk. He also has CP, and CP runs the gamut between my friend who ran the marathon and my friend who can't speak, and every single person with CP needs help, and every kind of CP deserves the research that we're doing right now.
Now, I don't know as much probably as Jeremy knows about CP. Is it something that you're born with it, or does it develop later? So
CP is a brain injury that occurs shortly before birth, during birth, or shortly after birth. You can get the injury, honestly, anytime up to age 2, and it can come, infants can have strokes. I know people don't really think about that, but they can. And one of the research areas that we fund is early detection and early intervention. So the sooner you get in there and give the child the therapies they need, the more likely they are to reach the highest potential that they can.
Jocelyn, I love what you said earlier about everybody's different with CP, because my nephew is 13 with CP. He is physically, like, he can walk and run even, but he can't speak. So it does affect people so differently, and I think that's part of some of the issues with society is like they don't know how to treat, or how do you want to be treated, and what's the best way to approach somebody with CP and ask if they need assistance.
That's right. It is. It really does run the gamut, and it's based on where your brain injury is. The best way to approach someone with CP is if you feel like you see someone that might need help, feel free to ask if they need help, but then if they say no, or if they communicate no in some way, let them do what they need to do. We are masters at adaptation with this disability, getting around things. It might look like it's harder for us or painful for us. It may or may not be, but we've lived in our bodies our whole lives, and we know what we're doing. We appreciate help, but we also appreciate, backing off if we say we've got it.
That is good information to know, to ask first, because not just to assume, because you never want to offend anyone. So that's something that I just learned. So that's great.
Absolutely. And speaking of funds, what type of research is being done currently to help people with CP, people living with it, and their families?
Yeah, so we have 5 research areas that we fund, and we are the only organization, the foremost organization that only focuses on cerebral palsy research, which is great. So we have the early detection, early intervention, which I mentioned before. Chronic pain, 75% of people with CP, including myself, experience chronic pain. Technology, so there's this thought-to-speech technology that we're funding right now. It's a chip that is implanted at the surface of the brain that can turn intentional thought into speech, and that is in clinical trial, so we're really excited about that. We're also funding regenerative medicine research, which is potentially to reduce the severity of CP, and genomics research, which can help create precision medicine down the line.
Wonderful. So they need money, obviously, and so how can people help?
So the easiest way right now is to just start a Facebook fundraiser. You can find us on Facebook at Research for CP. The word is FOR. And you can just click to start a Facebook fundraiser really easily. You can do that anytime, but March is the best time to do it. And then in September, we run our flagship fundraiser called September, where we challenge people to take 10,000 steps a day in whatever way works for them. There are 60 plus activities that convert to steps, including things like physical therapy and moving in a wheelchair, and using weights and hand cycling. So it's inclusive and anyone with any ability can do it. Things like house cleaning also count as steps. So just keep an eye out for that in the fall. It's a month-long initiative, and Nextstar has done it before, and you guys were the top stepping organization in 2020 and the #3 fundraising organization in 2020.
Jocelyn, that makes me so happy. And by the way, I love how open you are with living with this. And you've actually sent us a video too of you just, you say, hey, look, I sometimes walk differently. Don't be afraid. And I love that you sent that to us because you're so willing to share your life and what is happening. Like when you climb stairs, we're looking at some video of you climbing stairs and walking and eating, and you're being so open, and that takes so much courage. So I appreciate you doing that for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, I appreciate that. And I think one of the really important things about disability is also access. When we don't have accessibility to all of the spaces, then we're not seen in public. So I think that it's really important to share my story so that we're not rare, we're everywhere, and we need the access and the help so that you can see us everywhere. We're not an oddity, we're regular humans, and we just have something else in our lives and it's visible, so you see it, whereas other people sometimes get to hide what their challenges or disabilities might be.
How perfect that you are the president of communications for this, because I think that's healing for you. Is that correct? And then for those that you help.
I really appreciate being able to do this work and also to reshape some of the language around it and help reshape perceptions. I know it's a slow process, but I'm doing it little by little. And even in talking with researchers, there's not a ton of work done for adults with CP. This is a childhood onset disability that is lifelong. And a lot of people don't think about it. So someone's knowledge of CP might be they met a kid with CP. And you don't think that kid's going to be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, but they will.
But they will.
And CP will present additional challenges over the lifespan. And we hope to eventually expand our research also into aging and other things that would serve the lifespan with CP.
Well, Jocelyn, we are so thankful you came on the show.
Yes, thank you
awesome.
so much.
Thank you. CP Awareness Month is March. Thank you again so much. We hope you'll come back for September.
I hope so too. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Lots more fun on Ozarks Fox AM right after this. So much to learn about CP. So much, and they're all different. Like my nephew, totally different than Jocelyn.
Did you hear what she said about the